Hey there, welcome to the Healthy Enterprise. Thanks for coming back if you're a return listener. And if you're new to the show, welcome. My guest today is Michael Friend, otherwise known as CRISPR Guy, but we'll get into that later. Michael is the CEO of an organization called the Minority Coalition for Precision Medicine. Their dedicated efforts aim to diminish health disparities through the utilization of precision medicine, focusing on minority communities. I'd like you to meet my new friend, Michael Friend. Okay, so Michael, thanks for joining me today for this episode. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the Minority Coalition for Precision Medicine and a little bit about your journey into this role. So, why don't you start by introducing yourself and to our listeners, and let's hear your story.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to have this conversation. As I said prior to us recording, I think it's a critical time to have these discussions. So I'm Michael Friend, founder of Minority Coalition for Precision Medicine, and I also had a co-founder by the name of Shakira Cannon, who lived with sickle cell disease, who passed away, unfortunately, from sickle cell disease a few years ago. Our work started very at the beginning of President Obama launch of the what is known now as the All of Us program, but I know it as a precision medicine initiative, and where my organization had worked with the Office of Science, Technology, and Policy to talk about how they would roll out what we know today as the All of Us program. And so that's sort of where the work started as an organization. And one of the main reasons to start the organization was to ensure that as minorities, African Americans, and others, is to ensure that we are, as these new technology was emerging, that we would be a part of those conversations. And so, which we were, and so I'm excited about that. And so we've come a long way. And I'll just close with this part of the introduction. And so it's been 10 years since that meeting at the White House this month, I believe. And so we're celebrating 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
So, thank you so much.
And so what was the catalyst for this for you? What got you going in this direction with your career?
Yeah, good question. A very challenging disease, which we know today is basically leading some of the innovations around CRISPR gene editing technology, is sickle cell disease. And so I got involved as a result of sickle cell disease, a very complicated disease for adults living with sickle cell. A lot of suffering and a lot of challenges they face due to the amount of opiates they need to, manage the pain. And, and so they, a lot of stigmas and stereotypes associated with those adults. And so through that work, my ex-wife living with sickle cell disease, and both, as I mentioned earlier, Shakira Cannon, who passed away from sickle cell disease. And so that was the motivation behind what I do today.
Really, I guess give listeners a little bit more on what sickle cell disease it actually is, and where does it originate?
Absolutely. Well, it's a blood disease that is it's an inherited disease, meaning that both parents must have the trait, a sickle cell trait, and it's a 1 in 4 chance that the child would be born with the actual disease. And so it's a disease where, their cells clog up very bad, and from the lack of oxygen, and causes excruciating pain. It also damages organs as well. And so it's a disease that is daily. And from my experience with both Shakir and Dominic, it just comes on. Those crises come on without notice, and so it's a very devastating disease. And to that fact, it was right around the time that we were having CRISPR conversation that Shakir was living at the time, and he was very hopeful around CRISPR, but unfortunately, he passed away prior to the FDA approving it, and now what we see is individuals being treated for the technology, and so we're still excited for those who come to benefit from. Very expensive, though. I would say that.
Is that right? So CRISPR is the treatment.
Yeah,
Is that right? Is that an acronym for
yes.
something?
See, yeah. Well, yes. And let me tell you something.
You don't
I
have
don't even want to try it, but it is CRISPR. You know the way I describe it is, and CRISPR is both on the health side and the agriculture side. And this is an incredible technology that I believe is going to and is reshaping healthcare because it has the ability. It works like a light switch, right? They go in, find the bad gene, cut it off like a light switch.
just deregulates it.
Powerful,
Wow.
powerful, very powerful.
Wow.
And when you talk about designer babies and that conversation, that's where the intersects, with CRISPR. And so it can
Gotcha.
do a lot of good, but it also can do some
Be
things.
taken
Yeah,
advantage of.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So this is now the treatment for sickle cell disease.
Yeah, it was just approved on last year by the FDA. And
Wow.
so
Okay.
it is one of the what we know as one of the cures, and I believe at the time of the approval, they probably served somewhere close to 100 patients per se. So it's been very, very successful. I would encourage listeners to really look it up and to be factual. It is going to be the conversation moving forward in healthcare because when you talk about, I don't want to get too far ahead. When you talk about AI and gene editing, that is where we are today. And so I was excited to be a part of that conversation back then.
Yeah.
But we're here.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Yeah, and now you're seeing it actually come to fruition. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we can get into AI, whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's a fascinating subject, and obviously it's been a crucial part of this journey. I had a question: is CRISPR a brand name, or is it just or is that the company that developed the drug?
No, it's actually an acronym, as you said, but I
Right.
know
Okay.
I can tell you what the first word is: cluster.
Okay. Okay.
But
people can do their own research. It's fine.
for
They can
sure.
figure that out.
And let me tell you, when folks take a look and start to read and look at it, I think they're going to be amazed. It's something how these technologies come about, and it's the time it takes to bring the public into these conversations, right? And so
Yeah.
reason why I'm giving like a kind of heads up is like I'm saying, America, get ready because it's a fascinating technology on both sides, for agriculture and for health, and it's going to. I'm going to say it has the potential to cure every single disease.
Well, I mean, if you're turning on and off
Yeah,
genes, then that is,
yeah,
from what I've been hearing, is where diseases begin and end, I suppose. But yeah, it's the whole conversation around precision medicine, around treatment and customized pharmaceuticals for the process to improve outcomes and reduce side effects. When you start hearing stories about that, it's pretty exciting. And now if you're talking about actually changing genetic behavior, I mean,
absolutely.
that's really huge.
Yeah, I mean, we're here, and America, we have to lead. We have to lead in these areas, and that's why it's important, as these dynamics so rapidly change, that all of us, keep that as a focus, that there's a global competition out there. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
call out no names just yet, but there's competition out there. So I want to encourage us to really work together, involve our young people early in the conversations. I'll talk about a project that I work with high school students out in California on deep
Mm.
dives around CRISPR, and so there's a group out there that's already ready, California, and I just feel like that's one of the other things that's important, is that we really got to start a lot earlier in our schools, in our education system. You know, when it comes to educating around these technologies, and so I'm looking forward to seeing some of those things happen. The reason why I'm so confident is that over 10 years, we've done a lot of groundwork, right? And we've done
Right.
a lot of
Right.
groundwork. And so now we're here, and exciting part I don't want to forget, not going to say, but I've been recognized as one of the, and I don't want to sound like I'm boasting, but one of the
Go
leading
ahead. Do it. Do it.
persons in the field of advocacy and this type of work, of course, for 10 years. And there's a huge conference where African Americans gather by the millions. And they're taking this conversation on July the 3rd, and I'm going to be there in that room. And so I know we're here. Um,
And where is that happening?
yeah, if I say where it's happening, they'll figure it out. But it's happening.
Oh,
It's
okay.
fine. It's happening in New Orleans. Yeah, but it's exciting because it's exciting to see uh, what President Obama during that time, which most people didn't know, that he even launched this initiative,
Yeah.
and the importance of it. And 10 years later, as we're bringing the public into this conversation more rapidly, I expect things to move fairly quickly. And it's an exciting time, I think. As much as there are
Yeah. Very exciting.
challenges, there are a lot of things that, as Americans, we could be very proud of the work that we've been doing around healthcare and the advances.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me more about the coalition then in relationship to this. So we've had these incredible advancements with CRISPR and the technology to basically cure sickle cell disease, right? Where does the coalition fit in, and where was the idea that started this the you creating this coalition? And that was with your co-founder too, that you
Yeah,
started that
Shakir.
organization, right?
Um,
Shakir, yeah.
we felt, the conversation around trust and African Americans has always been an issue for the most part in healthcare. And so one of the places where we felt uh, the conversation needed to be was in the African American church. And so that is where we started in 2015, 2016, going through, I think, about 3 years. We formed what's called a health ministry network to really, early on, we had African American researchers and scientists paired up with African American clergy. And that conversation was important because we were giving the church the foundation of like what's to come. And there's a lot of work that was done there, a lot of interviews, some things in some very important Christian magazines as well, because we were working with
Mm-hmm.
Harvard Personal Genetics and Education project. And so they were a very important part of those discussions. And so early on was the church, which was significant. And so we've got a nice footprint there, and we'll be returning there to begin to even expand that conversation as we move forward over the next 10 years.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So.
What was one of the key issues that you were trying to achieve with the coalition? Was it, accessibility, and that this was going to be available to everybody, and affordability,
Yeah.
and those kinds of issues?
I think initially it was just awareness, right? Because
Right.
awareness and understanding that, and this will be true. This statement be very true. Understanding that we had no network of moving, if we could not move information, and COVID-19 showed us that we could not move information, or misinformation was moving quite a bit. Um,
Well, information, correct or
yeah.
incorrect.
So, we discovered that the faith based organization was very critical to that conversation. I'll say, in honesty, in terms of challenges. But one of the challenges with the faith based community, and I hope they hear me today, is that I describe them as like horse and buggy. Like they just wasn't able to move in terms of technology. They were very
Right.
limited in terms of their social media presence. And you know what happened? COVID-19, all right? And they didn't have a choice at that point to really ramp up the way they were delivering their messages. And now that that has been somewhat corrected, I feel like that we would be more successful in that space. And early on, again, it was really about awareness and education of these technologies that are, at the time, they were ideas and basic concepts. And the question was, was it gonna, is it gonna work? And and is it ever going to be approved by the FDA, right? And
Hmm.
so that
Right.
that was the conversation then. And I was serving as an advisor on an organization that was formed called CRISPR for CRISPR conversations. And
Hmm.
those conversations were taking place at like UC Berkeley, Harvard, a few out of the country. And we were very happy to have one of those conversations take place at Howard University at one of our
Mm.
HBCUs. And it was going to be an in person event, but right during COVID, during the middle of our planning, and so we had to change to a virtual format. But the beautiful thing is that it's on record, and we had those important uh, discussions and talked about some of those challenging issues around trust and ethics and things of that nature.
When you were first having these conversations with people, was there a lot of skepticism around precision medicine, and fear, and maybe some disbelief? And is that what you were trying to kind of resolve?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even at the time, working with some scientists that was even a part of working with my organization had their doubts when it came to CRISPR, and so they and it wasn't like I was trying to sell it, but they just wasn't
Right.
pro CRISPR, and because they wasn't, I'll just say flat out that I think Howard University at the time missed an opportunity to probably lead those where we are today, and their
Hmm.
hesitation, uh, did play a role in terms of how that information could have been disseminated years ago. So,
Hmm.
so to answer your question, yeah, there was a lot of skepticism and kind of pushback, right? Because you knew,
Right.
and but now we're here, and I'm happy about it. Again, CRISPR-Con. Uh, there are a lot of videos out there which the listeners can look at, but the goal of CRISPR-Con was not to promote CRISPR technology. I'm talking a lot about CRISPR because it's such a passion of mine as it relates to sickle cell. Uh, but it was to really have those conversations so that you can hear both sides and all sides of the conversation, right? And so no what we call shade to the researchers at Howard, but I could, understand their position at the time, but still felt very strongly that they needed to still be a critical part of as this continues to move forward. And it's one of those things. Looking back, I would say that was a missed opportunity for Howard University for sure.
Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
it. Yeah. What was the tipping point? Like, I mean, there you are. You know the boulders going up the hill. What was the tipping point when it started to take a life of its own?
Wow. Uh, that happened very late, and I think we're just beginning to see the light, right? Give you an example. So when we have these conversations early on, Hollywood is actually in the room, right? Big part of the conversations, National Academy of Science Entertainment Exchange. That's when I learned that wow, Hollywood actually is, does create these narratives and certain conversations, and so
Hmm.
I believe that that is what's going to be the tipping point because Shakir and I, and Dr. George Church, which many listeners may know, uh, at Harvard, very prominent scientist, we had the opportunity to speak to probably about 200 writers and film executives out in California. And the conversation was around CRISPR. And so, yeah,
Really?
this is years ago. I want to say
Wow.
20. Wow, 20. I would be guessing and say, but I have the information. But I'm going to say around 2018. But just to go show how advanced these conversations be at a certain level, and now for sure we're going to see it in film. You're going to see it on
Hmm.
TV, and it's going to
Really?
be a regular conversation for sure because they're in early, and yeah,
Yeah.
they're
They want to be ahead of the hot topic game, right?
abs-
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I believe that we're at that place now, and given what's happening in New Orleans, that is a true testament of where we are because uh, even that organization recognizes very important how important this is to be in place and to leverage and to create these new partnerships. And I think
Right.
that for us as an organization, there were always several sides to it. There were also, there's an advocacy, education, but there's also the business side. There's the economic factor, right? Is starting new biotech companies and creating these biotech companies, and so that's kind of that to me is the tipping point right there.
Right. Right. So because you started in business, you studied business, right? That was what you went to school to do, right?
You know what? Actually, no.
No.
Yeah, right. But Uh, I
Oh,
would say that this is all like passion work, right? And just being, I don't want to say being in the right place at the right time, but the work around sickle cell disease, I'll back up a little bit to give you a little bit how that kind of happened. So at the time, I was advocating for the White House under the Obama administration to do a gala for sickle cell disease. And so, and we were working with one of the offices out of the White House. Well, we didn't get the gala. We still didn't get it. Still waiting on it for sickle cell. And
really?
yeah, never got it. It's very unfortunate, and I was not happy about it. I said, they light the White House up for everything else. I'm not gonna name no colors, right?
Yeah.
But they light it up, and I just felt like that was a very unfortunate. But through that effort is where we were able to land, I believe, the invitation to be a part of precision medicine, the precision medicine initiative, not knowing what it
Right.
was. And so that's what began to shape my efforts. And so not so much from education standpoint, but more, just believing, fighting and on behalf of those that didn't have strong voices, and navigating policies and working with politicians around, pain and the opiate crises that we were dealing with. And so it was all happening during that time. So that's sort of was the beginning of the work. And then it just kind of grew from there until we're here. And now we're ready to reshape some things just nationally and globally, I believe. Very exciting time for us that's in this space in particular. Those
Well,
relationships.
maybe explain a little bit what you see coming. Like, what do you see is coming our way that you're so excited about?
Yeah, I think that, people would look at, not you being too political, but I think there's a feeling of like this pullback, and, this is getting cut and that's getting cut. And, and truth be told, I can tell you some of that actually needed to happen but in saying that, I think the dynamics and the where we are, the private partnerships, because relying so much on the government to solve these problems is not a good strategy. We need strong private public partnerships, because the technology is very expensive, right? You think CRISPR uh, right now is one company, I think, is what 1.8 million. The other one per person is like 3 million. So
Wow.
it's important that that whole the way we've been doing things be restructured in a way that it's not about price as much as is about saving lives. And so that's the part where you're going to see a different new dynamics, new business partner, and new strategies. And Innovative Genomics Institute, which is Jennifer Doudna, who is the one of the founders of the technology.
Hmm.
They're working very hard to create. I know for sure that they're a part of creating these new uh, uh, business slash looking at how they can lower the cost of this technology, because right now this it's not affordable, right? And
No.
and if you think about it, there are only 100,000 estimated individual with sickle cell disease in the U.S., but globally there's millions, right? So you think
Right.
about Africa and Saudi Arabia and all those countries
Hmm.
over there. Yeah, it just it's not affordable if we're thinking global. And after all, we're in a society where we have to think global. And everything we build is about these global relationships. And so in saying all that, I can see new frontiers being formed, new business models in the healthcare sector as it relates to precision medicine. Is going to be different because it has to be, and the technology is going to call for it. Uh,
Right.
yeah,
How did you? I mean, you had a lot to learn, uh, through all of this. So you started off, and then you find yourself working at with government policy and advocating, and did you have experience with doing that before, or did you kind of just jump in with both feet?
both feet, both feet. Um,
What surprised you the most about that world? Because it's a different
oh
world
man,
entirely, right?
what was the lack of investments in advocacy, right? That unfortunately that comes very late in the game, meaning that those conversations don't take place until these companies have a product. And during that discovery process, I always felt like, bring everyone along. Bring people, because it does inspire hope at the same time, right? And so that's what I'm looking to do different, is that let's not wait until the baby is here, right? I mean,
Right.
who does that anyway, right?
Nobody.
So I just think it's important that a new design is needed, and that's what I'm looking forward for to, and that's what I'm pushing for over the next couple months. So we have a plan that we'll be putting forth, and we hope that it will be embraced at the level that, and kind of wildfire effect.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it about uh, your character that you bring to this role? Like, what is it about you that you tap into that gets you up every day and moves you in the same direction without saying, this is too hard, I gotta try something else?
Well, I think the first that what it's not about a paycheck, and I've proven that. It has not been about a paycheck. It has been about a lot of suffering personally as well, and sacrifice, and I know the pain that exists in the community, and I know the hurt and the disappointment when it comes. We didn't just focus on sickle cell disease. We had projects around cancer. We had projects around mental health. We focus on those 9 diseases that primarily impacts the minority community. And so we heard stories in Baltimore, had a conference with Broad, right? And Broad had a cancer project. And so they reached out to
Sorry,
us.
what was that again? Say brogue, you
Broad,
said?
Broad.
Okay.
Yeah, out there in Boston. I think they're affiliated with Harvard, but they had a very
Okay.
important project around cancer, and did a community event at a place, and there were probably about 200 people there, but there were a mixture of clergy, but there are a lot of cancer patients there, and I think what was so challenging was to hear a woman diagnosed with breast cancer, and at the same time her son was murdered, right? And so what I learned, that in these communities there is a lot happening, unfortunately, and that's where I really discovered like how important this is, because there's a lot of pain out there, and some of it we can not so much avoid, but we can be a better support to one another. And I think that's what these times are for me. And that's why I'm excited, because I think that even as things happen at the, within our government, we're very strong when it comes to private. We've got a lot of great companies out there. We got a lot of resources, right? We got a lot of folks that are doing well in our community. We got a lot of folks with a lot of money, and we need to bring some of those folks to the table, because now is the time for the uh, private investments to really kick in, I believe, and take us to the next generation, the next 50 years, I would say. I'll just say that, kind of like follow the Bill Gates model, right? If we're reading about what he wants to do with his money, um, as he think about not being here, and how he wants his money to be utilized. And so
Hmm.
I just think that that's where we are, and I think we're going to honestly see more of that. And so that's what makes me excited, because now I think we're going to see individuals step up, and less government, more people.
And what will the coalition do? How will you continue to spread the word and the message? What are some of the methods that you use to connect and find find a place to inform others of what's going on.
Well, I tell you, we're totally right now. We're gonna go back to the churches, but I'm gonna tell you the real power is the young people. And so for 4 years, I've been working with school districts out in California doing deep dives on CRISPR, hundreds of students over the years. And so that is to me where we need to focus, and that group cannot be left out, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who's going to have to make decisions as it relates to this technology. So let's not leave them out of the conversation and look 10 years from now and this is we so I'm locked in right there. We've got a project called the Next Generation CRISPR Project, and it's really around careers in biotech with a strong emphasis on CRISPR. And so that is what one area that we're really going to be pushing for. We did a pilot, I want to say, out in California, and this is what we discovered. The kids were learning, but there were like 20, let's say 2,000 plus schools in California, right? And I don't want to throw California under the bus, but I can promise you 90% of those schools had no idea what CRISPR was, as powerful as this. And that's, California, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's not acceptable, to
No. Well, this is the first I've heard of it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's a very powerful technology. It's because of how we roll out information,
Sure.
yeah. And we need to work on that to be more.
But every conversation you have is one group of people closer to spreading that word. Yeah. But you're right. I think the youth it's important. I mean, it's important for them to know, also what careers are there that they have to look forward to, like I think a lot of them are really quite disillusioned by what career options there are out there. A lot of the same old stuff they've grown up with, and I don't think they're interested in that. They do want to make a difference,
Yeah.
and they want to impact the world.
So true. And I wanted to make mention that we're doing a CRISPR career guide that was developed by these young folks. And so we have that already in the bucket. And so it'll be I don't have a release date, but it's definitely going to be this year. And it's going to be a beautiful guide that you can download for free. And we hope to, get that into most schools and continue to have these conversations around CRISPR and careers in CRISPR as this technology continue to emerge. And so I believe we've got like our strong footprint, and we've done work with a lot of the experts in this area as well on record. And so I think that's a very important piece that we just need to focus on our young people. I don't say a little more, I would say a lot more when it comes to these technologies.
What kind of advice do you give to people who are trying and striving to drive change and innovation in this industry?
I think the advice would be all of us are impacted by something to some extent, right? Through our family, our friends, and just listen, pay attention to what's happening in your own network, in your circle, right? And become an advocate and advocate on behalf of that individual. So many people suffer in silence. And so we need more activists. We need more advocates in these spaces because, as you know, a lot of diseases. And so there's a lot of ground that we have to cover. And so I would just say I'm just one that believes that everyone should have a footprint somewhere as it relates to some disease. Whether you're given time or money, find a way to connect. And more important now than more than ever, right? I would encourage us.
It's great advice. And I mean, you brought this up a little bit earlier. You're talking about how some people have multiple tragedies happening within their families, within their within their social networks. And so those kinds of, you know, tragedies that are stacked on and those traumas that are collective are really, I mean, they do, that's what has the major impact on mental health, right? Because not only are you dealing with an illness and trying to recover or get through treatment, but you know, there's an emotional impact of disease, and whether people um, recover or don't make it, there's a huge impact emotionally and mentally for people, isn't there?
I would agree. And one of the things I think, and is important too, is that I think most times we, as a people, don't really know what's going on with the next person, and sometimes not even our neighbor, right? But I just want to encourage us, overall, to talk more and to listen more to each other, right? And to really, because as much as there's exciting times that's happening in healthcare, there's some technologies out there that's doing great things, and folks don't know about it just yet. And so let's keep talking. Podcasts. This format is extremely important for individuals like myself. And thank you so much, for taking that time out, because I just believe that this is the way moving forward, is through conversations and then action.
Absolutely. That's great. Great way to end. Any last thoughts or takeaways? And I'll maybe also let listeners know how they can connect with you and learn more about your coalition as well,
Oh
Michael.
yeah, for sure. Right now, we're on link. I'm on LinkedIn. My name, Michael Friend. Our website is being rebuilt, and so we won't have that up for maybe another a few weeks or so. But it will certainly be a part of the I'm sure the final product once it's released, and so hopefully we can share that information through your network as well.
And you had a couple of events you mentioned earlier too. Will you kind of, those will be sort of listed on your website, where you're doing things and speaking and showing up in public, right?
Yeah, for sure. That'll be there.
Great.
And definitely, we're looking for individuals who would definitely want to be a part of the next generation CRISPR project, as it relates to students. So if you're a teacher, you're an educator, or someone who just want to be involved with the because the guide is, we're on like that final draft, but there's still some space in there. And so if you have interest in career development as it relates to students, then definitely reach out to me. That's a very important part right now of our work.
Awesome. Okay, and we'll make sure those links are accessible for everybody as well. So, Michael, thank you so much for spending some time with me this afternoon. I really enjoy hearing about your journey, about the coalition, and certainly about CRISPR and what's happening in the future. It sounds very exciting, and I look forward to seeing what comes up next, and maybe we'll talk again.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, so I learned a new word today, CRISPR. So if you haven't already looked it up, it is an acronym which is short for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. So I'm reading that in case you didn't know. That's a revolutionary gene editing technology that was initially discovered in bacteria as part of their immune system against viruses, but was adapted for use in laboratory to precisely modify DNA in living organisms, and it allows scientists to target specific DNA sequences and edit them with a high degree of accuracy, making it a powerful tool for research and potential therapeutic applications. This has the potential to reshape healthcare. So building trust in healthcare is crucial in minor communities, which is what Michael's focus is. And of course, moving forward, engaging youth in conversations about healthcare is vital for the future. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was fascinating. Never get tired of learning new words, and there's never a shortage of them in this industry. So I want to thank you for listening, and please stay healthy, and we'll talk again soon.